Raider Nation, good morning. It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and we're going to be breaking down some of the rumors around the Silver and Black giving a contract extension to quarterback Geno Smith after trading from him literally a week ago on Friday from the Seattle Seahawks. There's been a lot of reports, and there is a lot of we know that this is going to be a deal that ends up going down, but there is a certain time and a certain timeline that a contract extension does need to go down. So for the Raiders, they posted this picture the other day on social media. It's Geno, and the lower third is not anything that the Raiders posted. This is what Geno Smith said after a Seahawks game. He said, "They wrote me off. I didn't write back, though." And a lot of people, myself included, were wondering, what did this picture mean? The first thing that I thought of, I'm not going to lie, was pen to paper. And they were getting ready to put pen to paper with Geno Smith. But do you guys also remember back on January 25th, the Raiders posted a very similar picture just like this one with a picture of bubblegum. And it was the bubblegum that Pete Carroll chews. What did they do? Ended up hiring Pete Carroll, a few days before that. And then the Pete Carroll press conference happened. I'm a believer that this is one of the ways of the Raiders being sneaky, that, hey, we're about to get a pen-to-paper deal with Geno Smith, and I do think that a press conference could be coming up before Sunday, and I'll tell you why Sunday is a very important date on that. Reminder, when Geno Smith news does break, I'm going to be here breaking it all down with you. I will be honest, I have a wedding to go to tonight for one of Alex's really, really good friends. If it happens between the hours of 5:30 and 6 Central Time, you got to give me a little bit of time to try to get here. I'm going to tell you this. If it happens during the wedding, Alex going to kick my ass. So you better pull up. You better get ready. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notifications are turned on. I hope it happens during today, or if it happens on Saturday, or if it happens on Sunday, even though it's my off day. We don't take days off here at the Raiders Report. So the trade that ended up going down was the Raiders ended up swapping a third-round pick, which still to this day blows my mind that we went almost 4 months and nobody from the NFL knew that it was pick number 92 overall. It was reported that it was pick number 73 from the New York Jets. But what's really interesting here again is you essentially traded Davante Adams for Geno Smith. And for anybody out there that doesn't think that's value, I look at you dead in the eyes right now and I say, would you rather have Geno Smith on the team or would you rather have Davante Adams on the team? I think everybody's going to go out there and they're going to say, I would rather have Geno Smith. But also with that connection when that trade was made, think about how confident this regime must have been in Geno Smith to make that move after the way that you've seen the way that they have handled free agency, being very careful, being very methodical, only spending money on things that they want. It was reported yesterday, which is important to note. We were going to get to it, but Raheem Mostert, a lot of the other crazy shenanigans, happy birthday to 93 Navman, ended up going down. But this was the report from The Athletic on a potential Geno Smith extension. Smith should receive a contract extension from the Raiders this week, according to league sources. He's going into the final year of a 3-year extension he signed with Seattle back in 2023. While he has no guaranteed money left on his deal, he's due $16 million of a roster bonus on Sunday. That's the artificial deadline to get a deal done if the goal is to lower his 2025 cap hit, which is currently set at $31 million. So I know that Geno Smith is a quarterback that not everybody is totally sold on here, maybe from Raider Nation. And one of the things that I really want to try to be able to do on today's show is give you a little bit more confidence that it's a good move. If you also haven't checked out the video that I put out on the Raiders Report over the weekend. Last weekend, I watched probably close to 8 hours of film, and I broke down a lot of stuff around what I think about Geno Smith and why I am more confident in this being our decision maker at the quarterback position. But overall, I know some people are worried about how much it could potentially cost because Geno Smith, we know, is a good quarterback. But, you're not going to want to give a good quarterback $50 to $60 million. You're hoping that it's kind of in this right price range. So here's the deal. I'm going to tell you what I believe the Geno Smith contract is going to be. But first, I do want to know what you guys have to say because at the end of the day, the only way that this is going to be a relationship that works is if we can actually be able to communicate with each other and I can see what you have to say. So you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad. Sorry, we're just waking up. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. Scroll on down. Give me your answer. How much money are you okay giving to Geno Smith per year? My answer here in just a moment. First, I want to show you what the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL are currently looking like. This is the top 10. And I have said before that I don't view Geno as a top 10 quarterback, but I do view Geno Smith as a quarterback with potential top 10 upside with this regime and also with somebody along the lines of Chip Kelly. Not only is it important to talk about the Geno move, what's really going to be interesting here is how they structure the Geno contract. And the number one thing, not the number one thing, but definitely one of the number one things that I'm going to be looking at is how that Geno contract is structured. Because when the Raiders gave Maxx an extension, they actually raised his salary cap in 2025, raised it in 2026. And one of the things that I've been saying is when you do that, that means in my mind their window is 2027 of when they're going to go out and try to win a Super Bowl, which is right on line with Pete Carroll because remember, he's got a 3-year deal. That would be the 3rd year with a 4th-year option. So to me, that's one of the things that I'm going to be looking at when I see the Geno Smith contract because I do know it is going to more than likely end up getting done here either today, tomorrow, or I see them trying to get it done Sunday because they're also trying to show Geno that we got your back, but they also made that trade because Geno wasn't happy with the amount of money Seattle was offering him, and he was looking for what was reported somewhere around $40 to $45 million per year. Now, I'll say this. I think our chat sports team, we are very good at projecting contracts, and the contract that I have projected for Geno Smith is 3 years, $130 million with $90 million guaranteed. The $90 million guaranteed number, you got to remember, when the Raiders a few weeks ago were trying to go out and get Matthew Stafford, it was confirmed that they were okay spending $90 to $100 million guaranteed. The fact that that money was already ready to go, they're going to use that and they're going to invest that money in Geno Smith. So his new deal with that 1 year, it's going to look somewhere like 4 years, $160 million with $40 million guaranteed. Before you jump off a cliff and you're like, oh my goodness, I do think that the way that this is going to be structured is you're guaranteed going to have Geno for 2 years. You might have him for a 3rd, and if it's not good after the 3rd, you're going to be able to move on from him after that 4th year. The other thing that I really want to talk about with Geno is you got to think about where John Spytek comes from. And when John Spytek gave Baker Mayfield a contract, it was also very similar to this $40 million range type of deal. But let's face it, he is a good quarterback. And if this contract were to go down, you're getting a borderline top 12. I ranked him as my 14th best quarterback in the NFL right now. But you're getting him at $43.3 million. And the number that I would be really curious to see, because again, I am wondering how they are going to structure his contract if they also try to maybe bump up his salary cap, something very similar to what they did with somebody like Maxx Crosby. And if you're looking at that 3-year, 130 with $90 million guaranteed, I almost wonder if they potentially put $45 million on those first 2 years. That way all the guarantees are gone by that 3rd year, so that way they can either make a decision on Geno, or if he's not playing well after those 2 years, you need to make sure that you have another opportunity to bring in a quarterback. Because I'm telling you this right now, if the Raiders aren't winning by the year 2027, the way that they structured Maxx Crosby's contract, it's going to be easy for a team to trade for him, and it's going to be easy for the Raiders to trade him away because he's got $0 million guaranteed over the final 3 years. It's make or break time for the Raiders these next 2 to 3 years, and they were confident in going out and getting Geno Smith. If anybody wants a Geno Smith jersey, we actually have them available. You just got to go to chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys. Those links are going to be down in the comments, and it's going to be down in the description of today's show. I will say this, the jersey that you get, it's not going to be 00. It's just a placeholder. If I had to be a betting man, I'm going to bet a lot of money that he's going to be number 7. Trevon Merrick was 7 last season. The amount of people that have told me that he's not back with the Raiders, believe me, I know that. But like to me, you can order this jersey now, and it's going to be pre-ordered. There's going to be so many people that try to get this, so you might not get an opportunity for months. But if you put in your order now, then when Geno announces his number, you're not going to get a jersey that's 00. You will get the number. If Geno wants to wear 69, even though it's Adam Butler's, if he picks 69, there's going to be 69 on that bad boy. So don't think that you're going to order a Geno Smith jersey that says 00 on it. Whatever number he picks, I promise that's the number you will get in the mail. So let's keep on rocking here with Geno. And I know he had a little bit of a down year last season, right? The completion percentage was impressive, but he had to get rid of the ball quickly simply because of how bad that offensive line is. I want people to look at those numbers in 2024, and I want you to think about the touchdowns. I hear a lot of people are concerned about the red zone interceptions. Well, Geno also last season dealt with a pressure rate of 38.4%. For comparison, that's the exact same, very close, exact same interior pressure rate that Patrick Mahomes faced in the Super Bowl against Philadelphia. Think about the way that Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs looked against that interior pressure rate, but then Geno Smith was able to put up those numbers in 2024, a year after he lost his head coach, a year after he had a brand new OC. When he had Pete Carroll and he had an OC that he loved, which the offense that Geno was the best in was 2022. That's going to be an offense I do think that is a little bit similar to what this organization's going to do. But then also, I think for people that are concerned about Geno, I hear you loud and clear, but the quarterback Geno's been with Pete Carroll, who, by the way, Geno has never had a losing season with Seattle. Imagine if any Raiders quarterback under the sun over the last 10 years had a winning record 3 straight years. You guys would go to the end of the moon for that guy. But the last 5 years after the Geno Smith to Pete Carroll, he got his confidence back. And I don't care what any person here is. I'm going to look at all y'all dead in the eyes, and I'm going to say this. As a man to man, when you lose your confidence, it's really hard to get it back. I don't care what you do. Anything that you do in life, man to man, when you don't have confidence, you're not going to be successful at it. And Geno, when he first went to the NFL with a really bad organization in the Jets, he lost his confidence, and he needed somebody like a Pete Carroll to know, you know what, that guy's in my corner. Well, all John Spytek, Pete Carroll, Tom Brady, Chip Kelly, and Greg Olsen have do is help make quarterbacks better. So I am confident that this trade that the Raiders pulled off is going to be a trade that not only results in a good contract for Geno, but it's going to result in a good contract for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I will say this. It is worth noting because I don't know exactly what the Raiders are going to do in the draft. I thought when they first went out and they traded for Geno, my mind was like, I think they're going to go out now. They're going to draft Shedeur Sanders in the first round. But now the more and more stories you hear, they think that this is a team that can win right now. I'm not saying win right now Super Bowl, but I think what they're trying to do is say, all right, we got to get to 8 to 9 wins first. And then let's have a season with 8 to 9. Then let's try to go out and get 10 to 11. And then in that third year, all right, let's go out and try to get 12 to 13 to compete for a Super Bowl. That's the way that I think a lot of this team's moves that are happening. But it should also be noted that this team is still a potential to draft a quarterback. I would say that I think they're a little bit more inclined to draft somebody on day 3 based on some of the quarterback visits they've had. And that's kind of what the Athletic is thinking as well of this is still an opportunity for the Raiders to draft a quarterback. They're not just going to go out and trade for Geno and say, nope, Geno, Aiden, let's frickin' run it, man. Also, Gardner Minshew, F you for going to the Chiefs. Here was the report, though, from The Athletic. Something that could make things interesting, however, is the Raiders haven't ruled out drafting a quarterback as high as the first round in the 2025 NFL Draft, according to league sources. They currently hold pick number 6 in the first round, but are also open to trading up or trading down, according to sources. It's also possible the Raiders could draft a quarterback in the later rounds who could still compete with Smith in year 1. Coach Pete Carroll is known for instilling competition throughout the roster, and Smith won't be excluded from that. I'll be real. I don't want to sit up here and say it's not possible that the Raiders trade for Geno, they give him an extension, they draft a quarterback, and then that quarterback starts over Geno. You can't say it's impossible because Pete's already done it, right? Pete started Russell Wilson when he went out and got Flynn because Wilson was the better quarterback in the competition room. I do think that the Raiders could add QB competition, but I almost think it would be more of QB competition for Aiden O'Connell to get the most out of the QB2, QB3 when you know Geno's going to be the best option for the team this season. To me, the only QB that I think legitimately could compete with Geno that's going to get drafted this year that results in wins this season is Cam Ward. No other quarterback is close, and every other quarterback needs at least a year, maybe 2. But when you hear the way Tom Brady talks about development of quarterbacks, he is a huge, huge believer in having a QB sit and learn behind somebody that they are confident and can teach them the right way. And the fact that Pete Carroll loves Geno the way that he doesn't surprise me at all. This is going to be a contract extension that I think gets done sooner rather than later. So what is your overall confidence level in Mr. Smith? I want you to scale it from 1 to 10. 1, you're not confident at all. 1 is like, we're trotting out Gardner Minshew again after a $40 to $45 million deal. 10, I would say, is you're like, you know what, this is no doubt a quarterback that can win a Super Bowl for us. Here's my answer on it. Based on what we have right now and right now only, my confidence level in Geno Smith is a 6. And I don't want people to think that that is a low number. To me, though, we got to upgrade our offensive line. We got to get another X receiver. I want somebody that can also stretch the field that's more consistent than Trey Tucker. I still want Trey Tucker to go out there and compete, but also at the same time, we need a good running game. if we make this trade, and if you want to see the best version of Geno, you better have a damn good offensive line. If we're able to go out and get a Mekhi Becton, if the Raiders go out and draft a Will Campbell or an Armin Membu, those are the type of moves, maybe a Booker from offensive guard for Alabama. Those are the type of offensive linemen that really could help Geno Smith be the best version of himself, which I don't care what anybody Raiders fan. You might not have liked the Geno Smith trade. You might think it's an overpay. If that guy takes you to the playoffs and he wins a playoff game or two, I know he's never done it, every person is going to sit up here and go, it was worth every penny. And I want people to have that mentality about Geno Smith because I am hoping that he is worth every single penny. Now, y'all, we will be going live a little bit later on today for Raiders free agency coverage. Again, I got a wedding, so I will have to dip a little bit early. We're going to do something today for Brandon Jasper. We're going to do something today for 93 Navman's birthday. I can't believe what I'm going to do. If you didn't see it on yesterday's live show, I am unbelievably nervous about it. So tune in, pull up, and again, if any breaking news happens, be a little bit flexible with me today. I got some wedding stuff, and I'm also not trying to get divorced before I get married, just like the Raiders are trying to get their deal done with Geno Smith before everything else happens. Which, Geno, welcome to the nation. We'd love to get you on the Raiders Report. Let's get this deal done. I'll see you guys in a few hours.